welcome to the My Best Divorce Basics series. My name is Christopher Bruce. I'm a divorce attorney in South Florida. Today's lesson is about how to finalize your best divorce and best life strategies. The objective with what we're going to cover is learning how to work with your divorce lawyer and your therapist to finalize the best possible strategy for resolving your divorce and having the life that you want to have after the divorce is over. If you fail to plan, then you are planning to fail. I'm not sure who first said that quote, but I've heard it a lot, and it's really what I follow in my law practice. I tell the clients if they don't have a plan, then they're setting themselves up for failure in their divorce. So what type of plans or strategies do you need? I really think it's twofold. You need a best divorce strategy. That's a strategy for getting your divorce over as soon as possible and on fair terms in line with what you want in the settlement. And then you need a best life strategy. And that's a strategy for having the life that you desire and deserve after the divorce. These are two separate strategies, but they're closely related. And at this point in time, or at least at the time when you've hired an attorney and you're ready to move forward, you had better have each strategy down before you pass go. So what's a best divorce strategy, or what are the elements? Well, there's about 9 elements or so, or basics to a best divorce strategy. And these are things that you need to go over with your attorney after you think about the issues yourself. I'd recommend having a meeting with your attorney early on before anything is really done in your case. Probably the first thing you do after hiring the lawyer is have the meeting where you go over these issues. And the best divorce strategy is going to need you to is going to need to cover what happens next, what are the things that need to happen before the divorce lawsuit is filed, when will the divorce lawsuit be filed, when will my spouse be notified about the divorce, well, that's your spouse, not my spouse, when are the negotiations going to begin in the lawsuit and negotiation process. A good thing to know as part of your strategy is what the initial settlement offer is going to be. It may be the case that at the very beginning of this process, you don't know the exacts, but it's good to know some of the possible settlement offers. Another thing you want to know is what should your bottom line settlement be. That's something that if you don't have complete information in the beginning, might be an issue that needs to be filled in over time. But that's going to need to be part of your strategy, is what you need to get to allow you to know what should your settlement offer be and what is your bottom line. Another part of your strategy is going to need to involve what happens if your spouse refuses to settle. And also you're going to need to know what issues will there be after the divorce, legally speaking, that need to be addressed. So that's all part of your best divorce strategy that you're going to need to cover with your attorney. You should do it very early on. The second strategy you're going to need to have is a best life strategy. This is the strategy to get you from where you are now to having the life you want when the divorce is over. I recommend that you do this with a therapist. You don't have to, but just like it's best to work with a lawyer on legal issues, it's good to work with an exceptional therapist on these types of issues. And your best life strategy is a little bit simpler in terms of what it involves, probably a little bit harder in terms of completing it. But I'd recommend you at least know what's going to happen next in the journey between now and you having the life that you want. I think your strategy needs to include you answering the question of what are you doing for you? How are you making your life better? What action is needed on your part? You're going to need to define what relationships will need to change in your life and how those relationships will change. This deals both with your spouse, your friendships. You're probably going to need to not have relationships or interactions with certain people anymore. That's either going to happen naturally as part of the divorce or things that you need to proactively do in your best interest. But you're going to need to know what those are. Another thing you're going to need to define is what's going to have to happen with your social life. What are you going to be doing to make better social relationships? What are you going to be doing to get out there and do the things in life you want to do? How is that going to work? What are the steps involved? That's all things that you need to be coming up with now, not down the road. You need to know what you need to do now. And if you defer this till later, it's probably not going to happen. Another thing you need to know is what's going to happen with your romantic and sex life. You're going into a divorce. Probably everybody's going to tell you need to cut off certain relations with your spouse. How's all that going to work in the future? When are you going to start dating? What's the ideal partner? Are you even going to try to date for a while? Those are all things that you want to define. I suggest you do all of this in consultation with an experienced therapist that is especially interested in helping people make their lives better. If there's a therapist in your area that deals with divorce recovery or helps people move on from traumatic events, life-changing events, they'd probably be the type of person you want to go to. If you're in the South Florida area, you can go to my website, staymarriedflorida.com. There's some helpful information and articles there, as well as a directory of some of the therapists in the South Florida area. There's a lot of great therapists on the website. There's a lot of great therapists that are not on the website. It's just a place you can look to get some help. And like I said, make sure you're working with your divorce lawyer to develop your divorce strategy. And I recommend working with a therapist to come up with your life strategy. But also, don't hesitate to ask your divorce lawyer as well. All they do is help people through what you're going through, and they probably have some really good suggestions for you. A couple of other things to keep in mind as you're moving forward and finalizing your strategy before you actually file for divorce. You want to understand the timeline of what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. It's really important that you understand how the timeline is going to work so that you can plan for that timeline. One of the worst things that can happen is for you to not have an idea of how long things are going to take or when certain events are going to happen, and that can throw things off track. You don't want that to be the case for you, so work with your lawyer especially, and also your therapist, to understand the timeline. You're also going to want to work with your divorce lawyer to understand the uncertainties in your case and the possible outcomes. You're going to want to know the financial uncertainties, the spousal uncertainties, including how your spouse is going to act and react. And you're going to want to know about anything that's a legal uncertainty. What are any issues in your case that are close call issues that could go in one direction or another? You want to know what those options are so you can plan for either of them and start accepting the fact that there may be some things you don't like in terms of result in your divorce. You want to plan for that now so that it's not a shock to you later. Moving forward in our course, we're going to be covering how to move forward with your divorce case and avoid distractions. Basically, what's involved with dealing with your spouse as you tell them about the divorce and moving forward past that point. Just as a reminder, this course is not a substitute for a competent divorce lawyer. You need to consult with a qualified divorce lawyer before taking any legal action. Also, this course does not create an attorney-client relationship between yourself and my law firm. That is it for this lesson. Look forward to speaking with you further. And until then, be well. Talk to you soon.